Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons here at the Geoint 2023 Symposium in St. Louis, Missouri. And here with me, we have an interesting individual to talk about his company at Geoint. And please go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll get right into it.
Hi, Clint Graumann with NUVIEW. This is, I think, my 15th year to be attending Geoint, and it's always great. It's nice to see old friends catch up in the industry, and this year is especially exciting for NUVIEW, our company, because we recently came out of stealth mode 2 weeks ago, and we're building the world's first constellation of LiDAR imaging satellites.
That is impressive. So, and it should not be confused with hyperspectral or anything else that does. So LiDAR in space, that's an interesting concept. Most LiDAR systems are done with aerial platforms today, right?
Yeah, so most LiDAR systems today are done with aerial. They're done with UAVs or drones. And one of the things that we saw was that there's this huge pent-up demand for LiDAR imagery around the world. And for the last 15 years that I've been in this business, I've worked with companies and consulted in hyperspectral and thermal and radar. And what we've continuously heard from our customers is that they always seem to say, wouldn't this be great if we had some LiDAR to go with it? So we did some really deep investigation and customer discovery to understand the problem more deeply. And what we've discovered is it's roughly 5% of the Earth that's ever been mapped with LiDAR. And that's just due to constraints of supply. With an airplane, you can map hundreds of square kilometers in a week. With a UAV, maybe tens of square kilometers per week. But with the LiDAR system that we're building, we're projecting that we're going to be able to map millions of square kilometers in a week. And so that's going to unlock the entire supply chain when it comes to LiDAR.
So what are we talking about from a launch standpoint? Being put up in the air, how big do you plan on your constellation being? You know, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's the real key with LiDAR. LiDAR is a different animal altogether than imaging with SAR or optical. And it's really some sort of hybrid of both, but with ultra precision. So to be able to accomplish our mission, which is map the entire land surface of the Earth with LiDAR once per year, we're going to build quite the large constellation. We're building 20 of them. We're going to be launching them 5 at a time over the next several years, and that's going to build up our capacity over time. And so at the end of everything that we're building in the mission, the main thing that we want to achieve is foundation Geoint, which means we're going to build what we believe is going to be the most accurate and changing and evolving global DEM that the world's ever seen.
Wow, that's incredible. So that the biggest rival in that was the SAR satellites, but obviously they have a lot of issues of their own where LiDAR can fill those gaps. So what are the big struggles and milestones that you're looking to overcome as you begin to put your constellation up in orbit?
You know, I actually disagree a little bit that SAR is going to be our biggest rival. I think we're going to be great friends with the SAR guys, and I think we're going to be great friends with the optical providers as well. With one of the unique capabilities of LiDAR providing really accurate accuracy, really high accuracy data in elevation, so in the Z. We think that's going to make us great partners to all these other imagery providers that can increase the accuracy of their data. And we look at a global DEM as a huge project that is really challenging for anyone. But working as a team, we do believe that a rising tide will lift all boats, and it's a collaborative effort. The unique thing that our LiDAR system will bring to the table is being able to image and collect a surface model as well as a terrain model in the same collection period. We think that's going to be an evolution in how DEMs are made at a global level. We've loved the world DEM that was produced by Airbus. We know that the guys out there like Capella are producing great data as well. Planet, Maxar, we want to be partners with all these guys.
Okay, so fair enough. That's great, complementing each other rather than being more competitive. So when you have this constellation up, how long would you say it would take to revisit, we'll say, or create a brand new world DEM model of your own, from having 20 satellites up in orbit? You know, what's that kind of cycle per se?
Yeah, so the main objective on getting to that world DEM is starting at the country level. I think we're an ideal data source for a program like 3DEP with the USGS. But when we look at mapping the entire world, as we get the constellation launched, doing 5 at a time, it's not going to happen all at once. The mission, after several iterations of launches, is to be able to do it on an annual basis. So once per year, map the entire globe. But it's going to take us 5 or 6 years to do it the first time, once we've started our initial commercial launch.
Awesome. Okay. So for your customers and your potential customers at a conference like this, what kinds of products and or what kinds of output, what I'm sure you're working on what the platform could potentially look like for them to interact with this type of data, because at the scale you're talking about, you'll have to, your customers have to, you'll have access to loads more amount of data than ever had before through aerial and drone, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole value proposition is not only are we going to provide the gold standard of a world DEM, but we're going to provide that DEM that constantly updates, and you'll be able to consume it in layers. So we know that's going to be a massive data set that we're going to have to host in a cloud, of course, in a cloud infrastructure, and then give our customers, especially at the governmental and enterprise level, streaming access to that data. And then we'll also have a platform where partners can come in and either task that satellite data set for unique things that they want to collect on the fly, or tap into that huge database to pull down only what they need.
Awesome. What at Geoint 2023 this year, just kind of reshifting gears.
Sure.
What are you getting out of the conference?
I think the thing that I'm getting out of this conference is that not only in other industries, but in this industry specifically, we're starting to see the industry turn the corner on AI and machine learning capabilities. It's been talked about for a long time. But we think that's really exciting to see the industry pivot in a direction that we think makes LiDAR extremely accessible. When you're working with optical or radar data, radar is not quite as visual as optical and being able to work with it, but LiDAR is really meant for machines and AI. Each individual point is a very discrete data point with its own values, and that just opens up to billions of data points that machine learning and AI capabilities, I think, are going to be able to uncover things that a human just isn't going to be able to on their own.
It's too overwhelming for the for humans, and the workforce needed to extract it, right? So we finally reached that technological threshold where now the technology meets the sensor.
Yeah, and it's been an evolution as well on getting to the type of hardware and capabilities in the industry that have finally made LiDAR possible from space. We've seen a couple of science missions with NASA and ESA that have gone up, but from a commercial standpoint, what we've been waiting on is capabilities like AI and machine learning to be able to digest huge amounts of data and interpret it. But in addition, we've gotten to a point where small satellite buses can produce the amount of power that you need. We've gotten to the point where single photon counting is a capability from space that can happen. Power requirements for running the laser. All of this stuff, plus some proprietary IP, which we've got some patents that are pending on, have come together kind of at the same time. And no one of those things can unlock the entire ecosystem, but we've gotten to a point where they've all kind of converged at the same time.
Excellent. Well, as we wrap up, any last minute words regarding your company and what you hope to see going forward?
Yeah, so one of the things that I love about the geospatial world is that it's so collaborative. And it's something we've kept at the forefront. We're building a company that is a partner-first strategy, and we want to develop that partner network around the world. And if there are organizations that have been LiDAR starved and want to contribute to the geospatial melting pot of data that they're working with, we'd love to hear from them and find the opportunity to work together.
Well, thank you for joining us and talking to us, giving us more insight into the company and who you are. I'm Adam Sims of Project Geospatial. We'll talk to everybody next time.